What's up? This your boy Carcino, and this is the truth behind the beef between Faith Evans and Lil' Kim. Now, a lot of people say they know the story and this and that, and you might do, you know. I mean, it's nothing like it's a big secret or anything. Everybody know that they're all cool now, like there's an understanding, but let's move forward and in the forecast, you know, as to what's going on. And we start from the beginning, as always. When Biggie first met Lil' Kim, she was, you know, coming from her job. She was working at the department store. She was like, had to be, I say 14 or 15 years old, I believe. I mean, I don't know her exact age at that time, but, you know, that's when they started, you know, flirting with her and all this stuff. But Lil' Kim came from basically nothing, you know. She came from a broken home, you know, and she's always looking for the father figure, or somebody to be there that she could trust and lean on. And Biggie was that, you know. He was always, hey, let me see you, mom, I'll buy you this, mom. He buying her stuff and gifts and all this stuff. Then she, you know, like, she rapped, and she told him Big rapped, and Big, you know, they listened to each other rap. He was like, that's kind of dope. But she rapped like a dude, and Biggie kept telling her, like, look, no dude want to hear a girl rap like a dude. You know, it's like, so that's been done already, you know, like, we gotta hear somebody rap like a lady, you know. So he's trying to straighten her rhymes out for her and help her out around the edges. But Lil' Kim was like, look, I write too. I got some bombs. And they were okay. But Big wanted to make it outstanding. He wanted people to be like, man, she dope. So her biggest hits, you know, he wrote those songs. And, you know, they were having a, you know, affair before, messing around before Faith even came into the picture. Now Faith, she was dating a record producer. Well, I didn't even know they was dating, but she had a baby by him while she was in college, because he was a music producer, some African dude. Then that's how she had China, and she had signed a deal with Bad Boy after her backup vocalist from I'll Be Sure. And Diddy heard her one day and said, yeah, she's dope. And he's like, yeah, she can write songs too, and she can do this. So they brought her on board. But we all know what backup singers do, you know, to get in the game. You know, a lot of people started off as backup singers, and some moved up the ladder doing different things. You know, it's just the way the business works. But she got discovered, and next thing you know, she was the first female artist that got a deal with Bad Boy. And when Mary J came over and Puff started working with Mary J, he started letting her write, Faith Evans write for Mary, because Mary J couldn't write a song to save her life. But she got a voice out this world, but she cannot write songs. So they were going to have her, she's doing a lot of cover songs that they had paid for, or some that they already had licensed. And they wanted Faith to write some newer songs for her to sing. So, yeah, she'll just be the backup vocalist on there. And then they was talking about putting out her album eventually. But they mostly signed her to be a writer, producer, you know. She was actually getting that type of credit when she first came aboard. And then Biggie saw her and just fell in love with Faith. He was crazy about her. You know, Big was the man. He had the hit album out, and everybody's talking Biggie this and Biggie that. And so when Faith saw Biggie and that Biggie was interested, you know, she started getting close. She was more open to where she probably wouldn't have been had his album not been hot and out in the streets. But it is what it is, you know. So she's more open to everything, and they just click. And a couple of weeks later, they married. Now, while they was dating for those couple of weeks, like Lil' Kim, he was still with Lil' Kim. You know, he'll see her and then go see Kim, but he was keeping them away from each other. And then Lil' Kim was like, they was like, man, Kim knows something's up with you and old girl. You know, like, he was like, man, let me talk to him. Kim was like, so this the chick you dissing me for? Like, what's wrong with me? You know, like, why am I not good enough for you? And he was like, man, look, this is not what you think it is. You know, like, this is just for the, you know, the image. What we doing here? You know, like, for Biggie, we finna try to blow up. I'm trying to help old girl with her album, and Puff want me to do it, and and we just trying to, you know, build her up. You know, this is not what you think it is. So she's just like, oh, okay, I'm tripping. Like, yeah, you tripping. You know, like, look, let me do what I do, so let me get my money. So she think, oh, Big trying to get money off her. Like, oh, they finna play her. Like, so Lil' Kim's falling for that. So anyway, they get married. And when they get married, and they like, what? Big got married? And that's when Kim was like, she was crying. You ain't got to do that. Why do you got to do that? You don't have to marry her. He was like, look, I told you already what's going on. And that's when he was giving her the look. You ain't work. Where you at now? Huh? What's your problem? Ain't you where you want to be? You wanted to be a star, right? You finna be a star. You right now, you look, get in there and sing the songs. You know, that's all you got to do is sing the songs. We got you in the greatest position ever. But she wanted more than that. She wanted to be his main girl, and that just wasn't gonna be. And so the main thing is, they sitting there talking about all these different scenarios, Faith, as far as their relationship. They're taking magazine pictures and the marriage. Everything was going good for a while. And, you know, Big never changed being who he was. You know, he didn't adjust to being married. It was like, you're married, I'm not. You know, marriage means you only sleep with me, but I can do what I want to do. So Big was just getting sloppy, and, you know, she was catching him with women and all this stuff, kicking him out the house. And Puff is like, man, Big, you can't be putting me in your situations, man. I got your wife, and, you know, she my artist. You messing with the money, man. You know, like, you don't want to do that. Don't mess up the money, man. You want to be one of these rappers back on home broke? So, you know, Diddy was looking at it like, look, man, you don't mess with my business, man. Like, we cool and all, but I get serious. Puff get real serious when you messing with his business. You know, don't do that. Because he got Lil' Kim in there, and they end up fighting in the studio because she used to take Lil' Kim out, let Lil' Kim pick the clothes. She was styling Lil' Kim because she thinking, okay, this is Big's artist, you know, and, you know, like, she's my best friend. And that's how Lil' Kim used to play it, because she's like, oh, we finna get money off her. He's just using her for the money. So she thought that for a long time, and it's just for the image, because he was saying that to keep sleeping with Kim. So Lil' Kim would fake it all the time when she was around Faith, because she's like, oh, well, she ain't gonna be here long. She's gonna be gone, and then we gonna be together, and then it's gonna be Big Papa and Big Mama. You know, he sold her on that. Like, look, it's gonna be Big Papa and Big Mama. We gonna come out with it. It's just that we got to do it this way. You know, this what they wanted to see. You know, build it up. It's a soap opera thing. So Big sold her and had her all twisted on it. So Kim was believing it. So she played nice. She hanging out with Faith, and the whole time she's sleeping with Big. And then when Faith, somebody snitched on Big. One of the Junior Mafia members went back and told Faith everything that was going down from like day one. And once that happened, it was like, where's the love? But they were salty because Big left them behind. They were supposed to be the guys that was chilling, not doing nothing, and sitting back. And then Big kind of cut all them off and took Lil C's and Lil Kim and kind of left them there. And they were like, hey, wait a minute. Like, what's this? We were supposed to all be crew, Trial, larceny, all of us, we supposed to all be one group. So, out of spite, they went and started telling Faith everything, like all the stuff Big was doing. The stuff that men ain't supposed to do. Not everybody in the crew, but there was some members in the crew that did something they shouldn't have did. They broke every guy code known to man. And she right away started believing it. Like, oh man, so this been happening under my nose. I've been taking this girl shopping, styling her, and now all of a sudden, she's been sleeping with my man and lying in my face the whole time. But she's like, I kind of felt she was phony. That's why I kind of stopped talking to her for a while. And then this just confirmed it, like, so she was salty about that. So after Big had passed away, or before Big passed away, the Charlie Baltimore situation happened. And that created a whole bigger mess because Faith, she had just broke up with Big, and even though they was broke up, they would meet up sometimes and still sleep together. They were separated, but still, Faith was still messing around with Big. And they had a fight during the tour. It was like in Big, Puff just sent him home. She was, I want my money. Puff sent her home. Like, look, you go home. You off the tour. So when she got kicked off the tour, and Big was like, yeah, she gotta go. And Puff was like, well, you're out. So she got mad, and outside the whole, she ended up going over there with Death Row for a minute, and that whole situation developed because of that. And it was just what Puff saying, see, you messing up my business. Because anybody could see, with a brain, can see that that was a problem. You messing up his business now. That whole Tupac situation would have never happened had Big and can control his situation with Lil Kim and Faith. Puff wouldn't have had to send Faith home. She wouldn't have went to LA looking for money and ran into her friend that took her over there to Tupac Nem's party and got her a job working with Death Row and Pac so she can get paid for the songs and everything. So, and all her time for being on those songs with Tupac and recording the songs for her studio time. Because at that time, they really didn't know they had a real beef with each other, like it was on. At that time, it hadn't even been known yet. They was still under the impression that Pac was still friends with Biggie. Now, moving along, we all saw how that fell out. Big and Lil Kim are having a little spat at the time because of Charlie Baltimore, which will be another scenario we go into. But Faith became pregnant by Big, so she was pregnant with him, and by Big, even though they were separated. So it just complicated the situation because now here they are with a baby on the way, and they not together no more. So it got to the point where those two weren't even speaking. They had to have somebody else mediate and go get the kid. Like, if it was his turn to watch the baby, one of his homies had to go over to her, get the bag, get the baby, and bring. They weren't even speaking to each other on like conversating terms. It was just not good. So all of a sudden they all leave, and let me see, I think Big passed like a couple weeks after that. So after Big died and everything, and Kim was all distraught, and her and Mary J became real tight, Lil' Kim and Mary. And Faith was like the bridge in between both of them. Mary was, she knew that she knew that Kim really loved Big, and Kim was really nice. So Faith Mary J kind of got those two together to say, as women, y'all need to drop it because it's pretty petty. Because, neither one of y'all with a reason this happened. Like with the relationship, is to put y'all at odds with each other. And like, he's gone, so let's put that to rest. And so it was all good, like for a while, like they had patched things up, and China used to be like, hey, Auntie Kim, Lil' Kim, and everything. It was great for years. Then the movie Notorious came out. When the movie Notorious came out, it was a whole different type of feel, because Lil' Kim was the only one that wasn't involved with the project. And if you looked at the script and you looked at the movie, you would see why she wasn't involved with it. Biggie's mom, for some reason, just didn't like Lil' Kim. She looked at Lil' Kim and said, you're just some hussy that my son was with. You're not, like, you didn't mean any, like, she didn't mean anything to Big. And that's how she feel like she was treated, even though she's always given out to Biggie the most out of anybody. She would let him executive produce her records. Every album. She was the one crying at the funeral as if her husband just died. Faith was walking out like, hey, I'm getting in the car, going home. And that was her husband. Kim was crying. Kim's the one that's dedicating songs to Biggie. Not like that tribute song that she was paid very handsomely for. But she was dedicating songs to Big on every album. Executive producer Christopher Wallace. Executive producer Christopher Wallace. She was loyal to the end, and still, even though the mom and the kids and all that stuff, she still is putting money into their lives with her music because of Big. Years later, have Faith Evans put executive producer Christopher Wallace on her CDs? And here it is, she's being an auntie to your daughter and CJ. They all know Lil' Kim, and she was Auntie Kim and all this stuff. Then all of a sudden, everything stops. Just out of the blue, everything stops, right? So now that everything stopped, because of this movie deal, and you watch Notorious, Lil' Kim is looked at as just some sex puppet who's naked every 10 seconds and just keep getting used and thrown to the side, and like she's not an intricate plot to the movie. You know, I kind of thought they kind of bridged it together at the end to try to clean it up a little bit, because through the movie it was basically a screw Little Kim type of deal from the beginning. It was like, well, Little Kim is nothing. And like, look, I don't like the way you're using Kim, big. Oh, okay. Who cares? It's Little Kim. I mean, Notorious, it was the Notorious hate for Little Kim. And when Faith Evans is one of the producers, right along with Miss Wallace, they're allowing this to go on, you know. And she was like, Miss Wallace, why are you doing this to me? Why are you portraying me in this role, this way? Like, I meant something to your son. And Miss Wallace is doing interviews that's just hurting Little Kim. And it's just terrible, because for Little Kim, it's emotional scarring. And then you see the way she is now. All the people that she trusted is basically turned on her. You know, and these are the people that she's shown nothing but love to. From C's to, like, C's is like the little brother. And all of this stuff. She's just been betrayed so much. So now, you know, they had a falling out. That's why they was at Puffy White party. And she was like, do I know you? And they were like, okay, I guess you don't. And that was the end of it. But everywhere else, she's like, okay, Kim's not speaking to me now. Because she was mad about how they portrayed her in the movie. So to get this tour together, they kind of had a, like, you know, a one-on-one where they get to talk. Like, Diddy wanted to do this tour and was like, this could be settled with a conversation between Faith Evans and Little Kim. You know, Kim don't really deal with her like that too much, but I feel in this whole situation, the person that was at fault mostly was Faith. I think she really should have looked at Little Kim was a victim in this whole situation. She clearly was the victim. If you look at it, she was victimized by somebody because she was not mentally inclined enough to deal with it at the time. She's impressionable, and she didn't want to disappoint Biggie, who she looked up to as like a father type figure, and she did not want to disappoint him. So she was not gonna, even though she felt she was not being treated fairly, she was gonna still stay. Her loyalty was too great. And Faith, you know, she should have done a job, especially in the movie, of portraying her, to give her some type of respect. You know, I just think they did her a little too dirty in the movie. But anyway, that's the truth behind that. I did jump over some points because they connected to with other stories, but we will tackle that too. But I'm out.